For centuries, people went to bed expecting to wake up, not from nightmares or noise, but because the night was always split in two. Between the first sleep and second sleep lay an hour or more of wakefulness, when prayers were whispered, fires were tended, and lovers found each other in the dark. Here's what life was really like when everyone slept in shifts. Hey, quick thing before we start. If you actually listen to these regularly, hit like or subscribe. I always wonder where everyone's at, so comment your city and what time it is. Weird to think some of you are having breakfast in London while I'm recording this at night here in the States. All right, let's head back to medieval England, around 1450. Trust me, it's going to be quite a ride. But first, get comfortable. Seriously, adjust those pillows, pull up that blanket, because where we're going, you're going to want to be cozy. The light is dying. You're Emma, 19 years old, daughter of the village miller. Your hands are rough from working the stones, from hauling sacks of grain that weigh more than you do, from kneading dough every morning before the sun shows its face. Right now, you're standing by the narrow window of your family's timber house, watching the last sliver of orange disappear behind the hills. Winter's coming early this year. You can feel it in the air, that bite that makes your breath visible even inside. The house smells like smoke and old rushes. The floor reeds haven't been changed in weeks. They crunch under your feet, mixed with dust and bits of dried mud from your father's boots. There's a sour undertone too. Sweat, bodies, the bucket in the corner that won't be emptied until morning. Your mother's voice cuts through the dim light. Emma, the fire. Right. The fire. You kneel by the hearth. The stones are warm against your knees. You can feel the heat through your woolen skirt, rough fabric that scratches when you move. You add another log, watch the flames catch, lick upward, paint orange shadows across the wall. This is the expensive part of the day. Firewood costs. Every log matters, but the nights are getting cold, really cold, and there's no sleeping in a frozen house. Not if you want to wake up anyway. Your father's already settling into the bed alcove. He and your mother sleep there, behind a curtain. Well, it's supposed to be a curtain. Really, it's just an old piece of canvas, stained and torn, but it's something, a little privacy in a house where privacy doesn't exist. You and your two younger brothers sleep on straw pallets near the hearth, right on the floor. No fancy bed frames for miller's children. The straw pokes through the canvas. Every night, you've learned to lie still, to find the spots where it doesn't jab quite as hard. Your brother Dickon, he's 7, is already curled up under a thin blanket, snoring. That kid could sleep on rocks and not notice. Your other brother, John, 14, is still awake, mending a tear in his tunic by the firelight, squinting. His needlework is terrible. You'd offer to help, but honestly, yours isn't much better. Almost dark, he says. Not to you specifically, just to the room. Yeah, outside, you can hear the village settling in, shutters banging closed, someone's cow lowing, dogs barking at nothing, or maybe at something. It's hard to tell with dogs. The darkness is coming fast now, like it always does. One minute you can see the hills, the next there's nothing but black. No street lamps, no electric lights, no glow from neighbouring houses, just pure, complete darkness. And that's when you go to bed, because what else are you going to do? Candles are expensive. Oil lamps are expensive. Sitting in the dark is free, but it's also boring and freezing. So you sleep. Your mother emerges from behind the curtain. Her face is tired. She's maybe 35 but looks 50. That's what happens when you've had 5 children and buried 2. Say your prayers, she tells you, like she does every night. You kneel. Press your palms together, mumble something about the Virgin Mary, something about protection through the night. You're not entirely sure of the words, you just know you're supposed to say them, that God expects it, that the priest says it keeps demons away. Demons. Yeah, That's a thing people worry about, especially at night, when the darkness is total and you can hear things moving outside, things that might be rats, or might be worse. Your mother crosses herself. Up at the vigil, she says. The vigil, the midnight waking, the time between sleeps. This is just how nights work. You go to bed around this time, maybe an hour or so after sunset. You sleep for 3, maybe 4 hours, then you wake up. Naturally, like your body just knows it's time, and then you're awake for a while. An hour, sometimes 2, in the complete darkness. Then you go back to sleep until dawn. It's weird to think this isn't weird, but it's not. It's just how people sleep, how they've always slept. Your grandmother did it, her grandmother did it. Going back and back and back, you settle onto your pallet. The straw pokes your hip immediately. Great. You shift. Find a slightly less stabby position, pull the blanket up. It's wool, scratchy, smells like sheep and sweat, but it's warm. Well, warmish. Your bare feet are already going numb. The house is settling into its night sounds. Your father's breathing is getting heavy. Your mother's moving around, banking the fire, making sure the coals will last until someone wakes to tend them, until the vigil. John blows out the tiny stub of candle he was using. The room drops into darkness, so complete you literally cannot see your hand in front of your face. You've tried, you know. The only light is the faint orange glow from the banked coals. Barely anything, just enough to outline shapes, the corner of the table, the curve of the water bucket, your brother's hunched form on his pallet. You close your eyes. Not that it makes much difference. Dark with eyes open, dark with eyes closed. Same thing, but your body knows it's time. The day started before dawn. You hauled water, helped with the milling, spent hours turning grain into flour. Your arms are sore, your back aches, that spot between your shoulders that always hurts. Sleep comes fast, like falling into a hole. Unlike your comfy bed right now, with its soft mattress and clean sheets, this is what nighttime meant. Total darkness, scratchy straw, the smell of unwashed bodies because nobody's bathed in weeks, months, if you're honest. But your body doesn't care about comfort. It cares about rest, and rest comes whether the straw is poking you or not. This is the first sleep, the deep one, the one that matters most. Medieval doctors had theories about this, about how you should lie down soon after eating to help digestion. How the first sleep was when your body did its heaviest work. Repairing, restoring, getting ready for another day of brutal labour. Modern science would agree, actually. This is when you cycle through the deepest sleep stages, when your brain consolidates memories, when your tissues repair themselves, when your immune system does its thing. But you don't know any of that. You just know that when you lie down after sunset, sleep hits like a hammer. The room fades. The scratchy straw fades, the cold fades, everything fades. Your father's snoring starts, loud, like a saw going through wood. You're used to it. It's background noise, like the wind, like the creaking of the house timbers as they settle. Somewhere outside, a dog howls, long and mournful. Your mother mutters a prayer, asking for protection, asking that whatever made the dog howl stays outside where it belongs. The fire pops, a log shifts, sends up a little shower of sparks that dies almost immediately, and you sleep. Deep, heavy, the kind of sleep where you don't dream, or if you do, you don't remember. This is what everyone in the village is doing right now. Well, almost everyone. The baker's probably still awake. He has to be. Bread doesn't make itself, and the watchman's doing his rounds, making sure the town stays safe through the night. But everyone else, asleep in their scratchy beds, on their straw pallets, in the great hall of the manor house, in the monastery down the road. All of them sleeping the first sleep, The deepest sleep, the one that matters. Hours pass. You're not aware of them. Time doesn't exist when you're this deep under. Your breathing slows. Your heartbeat slows. Your body does what it needs to do. Outside, the night continues. The moon rises. Clouds pass over. An owl hunts in the field beyond the village. Mice scatter. The wind picks up, rattling the shutters. Inside, the fire burns lower. The orange glow dims. The coals go from bright to dull. And then, without any warning, without any reason you could name, your eyes open. You're awake. Just like that. From deep sleep to full wakefulness. No grogginess. No confusion. Just awake. The room is still completely dark. Maybe a tiny bit of moonlight sneaking through gaps in the shutters. Not enough to see by, just enough to know it's there. You don't know what time it is. There are no clocks, no way to tell, but your body knows. It's around midnight, maybe a little after, the middle of the night, the space between the sleeps. This isn't strange, you're not confused. This is normal. This is what happens. You lie there for a moment, listening. Your father's still snoring. Your mother's breathing is quiet, steady. She's probably awake too. She usually is, but she's not moving. Not yet. John shifts on his pallet, scratches himself, probably fleas. Everyone's got fleas. Your bladder makes itself known. Great, you're going to have to get up. The air outside the blanket is freezing, like actually freezing. You can see your breath, little clouds of vapor in the almost darkness. But you need to pee. So you sit up, the straw rustles, you feel around in the dark for your shoes. Well, they're not really shoes, more like wooden clogs wrapped in rags, but they keep your feet off the cold floor. Mostly, you stand, every muscle protests. You're stiff, sore, the kind of sore that comes from hard labour, and a straw bed. You shuffle toward the corner, toward the bucket, the one that smells like exactly what you think it smells like. You do your business. Try not to make too much noise. Fail. The sound echoes in the quiet house. Behind the curtain, your mother stirs. Emma? Just the bucket, you whisper back. Tend the fire while you're up. Of course, the fire. You make your way back to the hearth. The coals are barely glowing. You add a small log, not a big one. Can't waste wood, just enough to keep the heat going, keep the house from turning into an ice cave. The log catches, flames lick up, orange light floods the room. You can see now, the shapes resolve into real things. The table, the bench, the basket of turnips in the corner. Your hands are cold. You hold them near the flames, feel the heat seep into your fingers. It feels good. Really good. After the freezing darkness, this is luxury. This is the vigil, the watch, the time between sleeps. And now you have an hour, maybe 2, before your body decides it's time for the second sleep. What do you do with this time, in this cold darkness, when everyone else is either asleep or doing exactly what you're doing? Well, that depends. Some nights you pray, that's what you're supposed to do. What the church says is the right thing, the holy thing. God is more attentive at midnight, they say. Your prayers have more power, more weight. Some nights you just sit, think, let your mind wander. Dreams from the first sleep are still fresh, vivid. People say the dreams before the first waking are more meaningful, more true. Signs from God, maybe. Some nights your mother wakes up too and you talk, quietly, about nothing important, about everything important. The kind of conversations that only happen in the dark, when the day's work is done, when there's nothing urgent to do. And some nights, well, some nights are for other things, but right now you're just cold and awake and alone with the crackling fire and the sleeping house. This is what life was really like. Not the daylight stuff, not the work and the prayers and the public face, but this, the private hours, the stolen time, The space between the sleeps, this is when people were most themselves, when the darkness gave them permission to be human, to think, to feel, to just exist without anyone watching. You settle on the bench by the fire, pull your blanket around your shoulders. The wool is scratchy but warm, the fire is hypnotic, orange and red and yellow, dancing, always moving. Outside, you can hear the wind. It sounds lonely, like it's looking for something it can't find. But inside, you're warm, you're awake, you're alive. And in an hour or so, you'll go back to your pallet, back to your scratchy straw, back to sleep. The second sleep, the morning sleep, the one that carries you through to dawn. But for now, this moment belongs to you, in the darkness, in the quiet, in the space between the sleeps. This is the vigil, and this is just the beginning of the night. You're still sitting there, by the fire, watching the flames do their thing. Your stomach growls, loud enough that you actually look around to make sure nobody heard. But your brothers are still asleep. Your parents are quiet behind their curtain. Thing is, you're genuinely hungry. You ate dinner hours ago. Pottage, thick stuff made from whatever vegetables your mother could scrape together. Some old turnips, an onion, barley. It filled your belly then, but that was ages ago. You could eat something. There's bread from yesterday, hard as a rock by now, but you could dunk it in water, make it soft enough to chew. But no. Food costs. Every scrap matters. And eating in the middle of the night? That's wasteful. Gluttonous even. The kind of thing the priest would frown about. So you sit, hungry, cold, awake. This is when your mind does weird things, starts wandering down paths you don't usually take during daylight. You think about the boy from the next village, the one you saw at market 3 weeks ago, the one with the crooked smile who helped you carry a sack of flour. You wonder if he thinks about you. Probably not. You're a miller's daughter, nothing special. Your hands are rough, your hair is always a mess, you smell like grain dust and sweat. But still, you wonder. Your mother's voice floats through the curtain, soft. "Emma, you still up?" "Yeah. Come here." You stand, walk over, pull the curtain aside. Your parents are both awake, lying there in the darkness. Your father's on his side, your mother's on her back, staring at the ceiling you can't see. "Can't sleep?" your mother asks. "Just woke, like always." She nods. "Sit." You perch on the edge of their bed. It's not much better than your pallet, honestly. Same straw mattress, just slightly thicker, slightly less pokey. Your mother reaches out, touches your hand. Hers is warm. "You feeling all right?" "Fine. Why?" "You've been quiet lately." You shrug. "Nothing to say." She doesn't believe you. Mothers never do. "The baker's boy. Dickon saw you talking to him." "Oh, so that's what this is about." "We just talked," you say. "About bread." Your father snorts, doesn't say anything. Just snorts, like he knows exactly what kind of talking about bread you were doing. "He's a good family," your mother says carefully. "Walter's known for his work, never misses a day. Even when his wife died, he kept the ovens running." Wait, his wife died? 3 years back, fever, left him with the bakery and no help. He's been doing it all himself. You didn't know that. The baker always seemed old to you, ancient. Probably 35 at least, but you never thought about him having a life, having losses. "Why are you telling me this?" you ask. Your mother squeezes your hand, just saying, good family, hard worker, owns his trade. Oh no, this is a marriage conversation. Your mother is trying to marry you off to the baker, a man twice your age, a widower, someone who smells like yeast and flour. "I'm not marrying him," you say, flat final. "I didn't say marry," your mother says, but her tone says she absolutely meant marry. Your father speaks up for the first time. "Emma's young, she's got time." Thank God for your father. Your mother sighs. Time runs out. You think it doesn't, but it does. I was married at 17. My mother was married at 15. Things are different now, you say, even though you're not sure they are. Nothing's different, your mother says. People still need to eat, still need shelter, still need someone to share the burden. She pauses. Still need someone to wake up with in the middle of the night. And there it is, the real thing, the thing nobody talks about during the day but everyone knows. The vigil isn't just for prayer, it's for this, for quiet conversations, for sharing the darkness with someone who understands. Your mother and father, they've been married for 22 years. They've spent countless midnights like this, awake together, talking or not talking, just existing in the same space while the world sleeps. That's what she wants for you, someone to share the watch with. I'll think about it, you lie. Good girl. Your mother pats your hand. Now go check the door, make sure it's barred proper. You stand, walk to the door. It's heavy oak, reinforced with iron. The bar across it is thick as your arm. You push on it, test it. It holds. Of course it holds. Father checked it before bed. He always does. But this is what people do during the vigil. They check things, make sure the house is secure, that the animals are safe, that nothing's gotten in that shouldn't be there, because night is dangerous. Real dangerous, not just demons and superstition. Real threats, thieves, wild animals, fires spreading from house to house, the kind of things that can kill you before sunrise. So you check, you make sure. The door is solid, the shutters are closed, the fire is burning but controlled. Everything is as safe as it's going to get. You return to the hearth, settle back on the bench. The fire is lower now, needs another log. You add one, small, just enough. Outside, you hear footsteps, heavy boots on frozen ground. You freeze, listen. The footsteps pass, heading down the lane toward the centre of the village. Probably the watchman, Richard, old guy with a limp from some long-ago accident. He walks the streets every night, making sure everyone's safe, making sure no fires have started, making sure the drunk villagers made it home instead of passing out in a ditch. Lonely job, being a watchman. Just you and the darkness and the sound of your own breathing. But someone has to do it. Someone has to stay awake while everyone else sleeps, or half sleeps, or whatever this is. The footsteps fade. The village goes quiet again. Your eyelids are starting to feel heavy, not tired exactly, more like ready to sleep again. The second sleep, the one that'll carry you through to morning. But then you hear something else, a different sound, rhythmic, distant, like someone working. You go to the window, peek through a gap in the shutters. Down the lane, maybe 3 houses over, there's a glow, orange light spilling from a doorway. The bakery. Walter's already up, already working, because bread doesn't wait. Bread needs to be ready at dawn. And dawn is maybe 4 hours away, which means the dough needs to be rising now, needs to be in the ovens soon, needs to be perfect by the time the sun shows its face. You've never thought about it before, about how the baker has to wake during everyone else's first sleep, has to work through the vigil, has to be awake when the whole world is dark and quiet and cold. What a miserable life. Your mother wants you to marry into that? To spend your nights awake while everyone else sleeps? To smell like yeast forever? No, thank you. But still, you watch. There's something about that orange glow in the darkness, something warm, alive, proof that even in the deepest part of night, someone is working, creating, making tomorrow's bread while today is still technically happening. You let the shutter fall closed. Return to your bench, to your fire, to your own little pool of light in the darkness. This is the vigil, the watch, the time when you're supposed to pray, supposed to think holy thoughts, supposed to prepare your soul for the day ahead, but mostly you're just cold and hungry and wondering if the baker's boy really is as bad as marrying him sounds. Probably he's exactly that bad. You yawn, big enough that your jaw cracks. Your body is telling you something. It's ready for the second sleep, ready to sink back into darkness and dreams and rest. You stand, stretch, feel your spine pop, add one more log to the fire, bank it, make sure it'll last until morning, until someone wakes for real, until the day actually starts. Then you shuffle back to your pallet. The straw has gotten cold. You lie down, pull the blanket up, shift until the poking is manageable. Behind the curtain, your mother is quiet, probably already asleep, already sunk into her second sleep. Your father's snoring has resumed, steady, reliable, like a saw through wood. John is still out. Dickon hasn't moved. The house is settling back into its sleeping rhythm, and you close your eyes. Let the darkness take you. Let sleep come for the second time tonight. This is how nights work. First sleep, vigil, second sleep, dawn. Everyone does it. Everyone has for longer than anyone can remember. It's just how humans sleep, how bodies work when there's no electric light to trick your brain. When darkness is actually dark and lasts for 14 hours, you sleep. Across the village, in the bakery, Walter is elbow deep in dough. His hands move automatically, kneading, folding, pressing. He's been doing this since he was 7 years old, since his father first brought him into the bakery and said, "Watch, learn." Now he's 36. His father's been dead for a decade. His wife's been dead for 3 years. And he's alone in the darkness, making bread for people who'll never know he was up all night. The fire in the oven roars. He can feel the heat on his face, on his arms. It's the only warm part of the whole building. Everywhere else is freezing. His breath makes clouds. His fingers would be numb if he wasn't constantly working the dough. This is his vigil, his midnight. But it's nothing like what everyone else is doing. He's not resting, not reflecting, not praying. He's working, because that's what bakers do. They work when normal people sleep. They make tomorrow's bread in today's darkness. He shapes a loaf, sets it aside to rise, starts on another. His movements are efficient, practiced, no wasted motion, no hesitation. Outside, he hears the watchman's footsteps. Richard doing his rounds. Walter doesn't look up, doesn't pause, just keeps working. This is what people don't see, don't think about. When they bite into fresh bread at dawn, they never wonder about the man who was awake at midnight, awake at 1, awake at 2, working in the cold and the dark so they could have something soft and warm to eat. Not that Walter's bitter. He's not. This is his trade, his livelihood, his purpose. But sometimes he misses sleeping like normal people, misses waking up in the middle of the night just to check the fire, just to say a prayer, just to lie next to someone warm and alive and listen to them breathe. His wife used to wake during the vigil, come down to the bakery, sit with him while he worked. They'd talk, or not talk, just be together, in the orange glow of the oven, in the smell of rising dough, in the quiet hours when the whole world was asleep except them. He misses that. God, he misses that. He shapes another loaf, another. He's got 20 to make before dawn, 20 loaves for 20 families, plus the extra for the monastery. The monks always need bread, always. His back aches, that spot between his shoulders that never stops hurting. His hands are raw, cracked. The constant work with flour and water does that, makes your skin dry and rough and painful. But he keeps going, because what else is he going to do? Stop? Let the village go without bread? Let people starve because his back hurts? No. He works. He always works. The dough is ready. He starts loading loaves into the oven. The heat is intense, blasts his face, makes sweat pop out on his forehead even though the rest of the bakery is freezing. This is his life now, has been for 3 years, will be for however many years he has left. Wake before everyone else, work through the vigil, bake bread, sleep a few hours during the day when he can, wake up, do it again. Not exactly the dream he had as a boy, but it's honest work, hard work, the kind that matters. He wipes sweat from his eyes, checks the oven temperature by holding his hand near the opening. Hot enough. Good. More loaves go in. The smell fills the bakery, that yeast and heat smell that means bread is happening, means morning is coming, means life continues. Outside, the vigil continues. People are awake in their homes, checking fires, saying prayers, having quiet conversations, doing whatever people do in the space between sleeps. But Walter doesn't have time for that. He has bread to make, and morning is coming whether he's ready or not. So he works, in the darkness, in the cold, in the orange glow of his oven, and eventually, when the loaves are done, and the bakery is full of fresh bread, and the sky is just starting to lighten in the east, he'll allow himself to sleep, his second sleep, the brief one, the one that'll carry him a few hours before he has to wake up and do it all over again. But for now, he works, because that's what bakers do, that's what they've always done. Make tomorrow's bread in today's darkness. And somewhere in the village, in a timber house by the mill, a 19-year-old girl is sleeping her second sleep, dreaming whatever dreams come in the hours before dawn, not knowing that across 3 houses, in the orange glow of a baker's oven, a tired widower is making bread and thinking about conversations in the dark with someone who's not there anymore. This is the vigil. This is the watch. This is what the night holds, for everyone, in their own way. And in a few hours, when the sun rises, it'll all start again. 3 miles away, Agnes is awake. She didn't mean to wake up. She was having a good dream, something about gardens and sunshine and her daughter laughing, but then her eyes opened and the dream dissolved like smoke. The room is dark, but not village dark, not that complete suffocating blackness where you can't see your own hand. No, this is manor house dark, which means there's a brazier glowing in the corner, means there are tapestries on the walls blocking most of the drafts, means her bed has actual curtains, heavy ones, embroidered with her husband's coat of arms. She's 28, lady of the manor, wife to Lord Robert, who's currently snoring beside her like a dying horse. Her daughter Eleanor is in the next room, 4 years old, probably asleep, probably dreaming whatever 4-year-olds dream about, dolls maybe, or the cat. Agnes shifts. The bed is so much better than Emma's straw pallet. It's a feather bed, actual feathers, over a wool mattress, over a wooden frame with rope supports that don't sag too badly. She has linen sheets, 2 wool blankets, a fur coverlet that probably cost more than most villagers make in a year. But she's still awake at midnight, just like the miller's daughter, just like the baker, just like everyone, because bodies don't care about money. They wake when they wake. She sits up, careful not to disturb Robert. He gets cranky when his sleep is interrupted, and cranky Robert is not fun to deal with. The brazier casts an orange glow, enough to see by, enough to move around without tripping over things. She swings her legs out of bed. Her feet find her slippers, soft leather, lined with rabbit fur, warm. Unlike your basic medieval peasant, Agnes doesn't have to worry about her feet freezing the second they hit the floor. She stands, wraps a robe around herself, heavy wool lined with more fur. She's learned that layers are everything in a stone manor house. Stone holds the cold like it's getting paid to do it. The room is actually not that cold. The brazier helps, the tapestries help, having an entire floor of servants sleeping below also helps. Their body heat rises, makes the upper floor slightly less like living in a tomb. She walks to the window, pulls aside the shutter just enough to peek out. Darkness. Complete darkness except for one tiny point of light in the village. Probably the baker. Poor bastard. Up all night making bread while everyone else gets to sleep twice. From the next room, she hears a whimper. Eleanor. Agnes moves fast, opens the connecting door. Eleanor's room is smaller, but still nice. Still has a brazier, still has tapestries, still has a proper bed, though smaller than Agnes's. Eleanor is sitting up, her face is scrunched. On the edge of crying, but not quite there yet. "Mama?" "I'm here, love." Agnes crosses to the bed, sits on the edge. "Bad dream?" Eleanor nods. Her hair is everywhere, tangled from sleep. Agnes smooths it back. "Want to tell me about it? There was a wolf, a big one. It wanted to eat me." "Well, that does sound frightening." Agnes pulls Eleanor close. The kid is warm, that feverish warmth children have when they've been sleeping hard. "But it was just a dream. Wolves can't get in here. The doors are locked. The guards are watching. Promise?" "Promise." Eleanor relaxes, leans against Agnes. "Can I sleep with you?" This is against the rules. Children should sleep in their own beds. It's what the servants say, what the old women say, what everyone says, but it's the middle of the night, and Agnes is tired, and Eleanor is scared, and honestly, who cares about rules at midnight? Come on then. Eleanor scrambles out of bed, grabs her favourite doll, a raggedy thing with a painted face that's mostly worn off. Agnes bought her a beautiful new doll from the market. Porcelain face, real hair. Eleanor ignored it, went right back to the raggedy one. They walk back to Agnes's room. Robert is still snoring, hasn't moved, probably doesn't even know Agnes left. Eleanor climbs into bed, wedges herself between Agnes and the wall, clutches her doll. "Mama? Why do we wake up at night?" "Good question, kid. I don't know. We just do. Everyone does. Even Papa." Agnes glances at Robert. "Even Papa, though he usually just goes back to sleep without waking all the way up. I don't like it. It's scary." "I know." Agnes strokes Eleanor's hair. "But you're safe. I'm right here." Eleanor is quiet for a moment. Then, "Do you think the baker is awake?" Random question, but Agnes has learned that 4-year-olds' brains work in mysterious ways. Probably. He has to make bread for tomorrow. That's sad. He should sleep. Yeah, he should. They lie there. Agnes listening to Eleanor's breathing, feeling it slow down, feeling the kid relax, drift back towards sleep. This is what the vigil is for rich people, for nobles, for ladies of the manor, tending to children, comforting them, lying in the darkness of a well-appointed room and trying to convince a scared 4-year-old that wolves can't break down oak doors. It's different from Emma's vigil, different from Walter's, but it's still waking, still being conscious in the middle of the night, still having that quiet hour where the world pauses. Eleanor's breathing changes, deepens. She's asleep again, out like a light, clutching her ugly doll. Agnes should go back to sleep too, should sink into her second sleep and wake up at dawn like a normal person. But she's awake, fully awake, and her mind is doing that thing where it starts churning through problems, things she needs to handle tomorrow, things she's been avoiding. The harvest was bad this year. Not terrible, but not great, which means the villagers are going to struggle, which means more people are going to show up at the manor asking for help, asking for food, asking for mercy on their rents, and Robert will want to say no, because Robert always wants to say no, because he thinks being generous makes you weak. But Agnes knows. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. You can't demand rent from people who literally have nothing. Well, you can, but then they die. And dead peasants don't pay rent at all. She needs to talk to him, convince him, make him see reason. Good luck with that. she sighs quietly. Doesn't want to wake Eleanor. The kid is finally sleeping peacefully. This is the thing nobody tells you about being a noblewoman. You think it's all fancy dresses and sitting around being important. And yeah, there's some of that, but mostly it's managing the household, managing the servants, managing the accounts, managing your husband when he's being an idiot, which is often. Agnes extracts herself from the bed. Careful, slow, Eleanor doesn't stir. Good. She walks to the small table in the corner. There's a prayer book there, leather-bound, illuminated pages. Her mother gave it to her when she married, told her to read it every night. Stay connected to God, stay righteous. Agnes hasn't opened it in weeks, maybe months. She keeps meaning to, keeps thinking she should, but exhaustion wins every single night. But now it's the vigil. The time when prayers are supposed to be more powerful, more effective, when God is actually listening instead of dealing with all the daytime noise. So she opens the book, finds a prayer, something about mercy and compassion and guiding the lost. She kneels. The floor is cold, even through her robe. She presses her palms together, closes her eyes. "Dear Lord," she whispers, "please help the village make it through winter. Please help Robert see sense. Please help Eleanor stop having nightmares about wolves. Please help me figure out what the hell I'm doing, because I honestly have no idea most of the time." Amen. Not exactly the prayer from the book, but it's honest. And honestly, if God doesn't appreciate honesty, then what's the point? She stands, her knees crack, 28 and already creaking like an old woman. Great. From down the hall she hears movement. Servants, probably. The manor house is never truly quiet. Too many people, too many lives intersecting. She walks to the door, opens it quietly, peers out into the hallway. Maud, the head servant, is walking toward the kitchens, carrying a candle. Moving like she's got a purpose. "Maud," Agnes whispers. Maud jumps, nearly drops the candle. "Oh, my lady, didn't expect you to be awake. Couldn't sleep. What are you doing?" "The fire in the kitchen died. Need to restart it before morning. Otherwise there'll be no breakfast." Of course, because fires don't maintain themselves. Someone has to wake up, check them, tend them, keep them alive through the night. "Need help?" Agnes asks. Maud looks genuinely shocked. "My lady, you don't need to. I'm awake anyway. Might as well do something useful." Maud hesitates. This is probably against some rule Agnes doesn't know about. Ladies don't help restart kitchen fires. Ladies stay in their rooms and pray or whatever ladies are supposed to do. But screw it. Agnes is bored and awake and tired of rules. "Come on," she says. "Show me how it's done." They walk to the kitchen together. It's dark, cold. The fire pit in the centre is just ashes. No glow, no warmth, nothing. Maud sets down her candle, kneels by the pit, starts arranging kindling, small sticks, bits of bark. She's done this 1,000 times. Her hands move automatically. Agnes watches. "You have to do this every night." "Someone does. We take turns. Tonight's my turn." "That's exhausting." Maud shrugs. It's life. She strikes a flint. Once, twice, 3 times. A spark catches. The kindling smoulders, then flames, small at first, then bigger. Maud adds larger sticks, then a log. The fire grows. Orange light floods the kitchen. Warmth starts spreading. Agnes holds her hands near the flames, feels the heat. It's the same heat Emma felt earlier, the same heat Walter feels in his bakery. Fire is fire. Whether you're noble or peasant, it warms you the same way. "Thank you, my lady," Maud says. "You didn't have to. I know. I wanted to." They stand there for a moment. Two women, different stations in life, different beds, different worries, but both awake at midnight, both tending to fire, both doing what needs to be done. This is the vigil, the great equalizer. Rich or poor, everyone wakes, everyone has tasks, everyone has that quiet hour in the darkness. "I should get back," Agnes says. "Eleanor's in my bed. Don't want her waking up alone." "Of course, my lady." Agnes walks back through the dark hallways, back to her room, back to her warm bed with her sleeping daughter and snoring husband. She climbs in, careful. Eleanor shifts, but doesn't wake, just burrows deeper into the blankets. Agnes lies there, staring at the ceiling she can't see, listening to Robert snore, listening to Eleanor breathe. Her mind is quieter now, not solved, not fixed, but quieter. Something about the fire, about doing something with her hands, about standing in a dark kitchen with Maud and watching flames grow from nothing. The vigil isn't just for prayer, it's for this, for small moments, for tasks that need doing, for connections that happen when the world is asleep. She closes her eyes, lets herself drift toward the second sleep, the one that'll carry her to morning. Tomorrow she'll deal with Robert. Tomorrow she'll figure out the harvest problem. Tomorrow she'll make Eleanor a better breakfast than yesterday's porridge. But tonight, right now, she's just a woman in a dark room, lying between her daughter and her husband, waiting for sleep to take her one more time. And eventually it does, pulls her under, into dreams about gardens and sunshine and Eleanor laughing, the good dream from before, the one that makes the vigil worth waking for. Back in the village, Emma is deep in her second sleep, dreaming about something she won't remember when morning comes. Walter is pulling bread from the oven, checking each loaf, making sure they're perfect, because imperfect bread means angry customers, and angry customers means no money. Richard the watchman is at the edge of the village, checking the gates, making sure they're secured, thinking about his own bed, his own wife, who's probably awake right now, waiting for him to come home, to have their own quiet conversation before the second sleep. And Agnes is drifting, sinking, falling into that deep place where dreams live, where wolves can't reach, where Eleanor is safe and happy and the harvest is good and Robert listens to reason. All of them connected by the same rhythm. First sleep, vigil, second sleep, dawn. A rhythm as old as humanity itself, as natural as breathing, as inevitable as the darkness that comes every single night. This is how people lived, how they rested, how they moved through the hours between sunset and sunrise. And in a few hours, when the sky starts to lighten and the roosters start crowing and the whole world begins to wake for real, they'll all rise, ready or not, and start another day. But for now, they sleep, the second sleep, the final rest before morning, the sleep that carries them through to dawn. Richard's feet hurt, his back hurts, his left knee, the one that got smashed by a cartwheel 8 years ago, is screaming at him, but he's almost done with his rounds, almost home. The village is quiet, mostly. A few houses still have that orange glow leaking through shutters. People awake during the vigil, tending fires, saying prayers, doing whatever people do when they wake up at midnight. He's been walking for 3 hours, checking doors, checking gates, making sure nobody's lying drunk in the street, making sure no fires have started, making sure the village is safe for another night. 42 years old, and this is his life, walking in the dark, alone, while everyone else sleeps, or half sleeps, or whatever. He passes the bakery. Walter's in there. Richard can hear him working. The sound of dough being slapped onto a board. The scrape of the wooden peel sliding into the oven. the smell of bread already baking. Poor bastard never sleeps. Well, he sleeps, but not like normal people, not the 2 sleeps with a nice rest in between. Walter gets maybe 3 hours total, in bits and pieces, whenever he can steal them from the bread. Richard keeps walking. His knee is really bad tonight. The cold makes it worse, makes the old injury ache deep in the bone. But he's almost home. Just a few more houses, just past the miller's place, where Emma and her family are probably all sleeping their second sleep by now, past the blacksmith's workshop, past the widow's cottage where old Margaret lives alone and probably doesn't sleep at all anymore. And then, finally, his own house. Small, 1 room, but it's his, shared with Mary, his wife of 15 years. He opens the door. Quiet. The room is dark except for the glow of banked coals in the hearth. Warm air hits his face. Feels like heaven after 3 hours in the freezing night. "Richard?" Mary's voice, soft, from the bed. "It's me. You're late. Had to check the north gate twice. Thought I heard something." "Did you?" "Just a fox." "Maybe." He hears her shift in the bed. Hears the straw rustle. "Come here. You're freezing." He is. His hands are numb. His face feels like ice. He crosses to the bed, sits on the edge, starts untying his boots. His fingers don't want to work right. Mary sits up, helps him. Her hands are warm. Quick. She gets his boots off, gets his cloak off, gets him down to his undershirt and brays. "You're going to catch your death," she says, like she does every night. "Not dead yet. Not for lack of trying." He climbs into bed. The warmth is instant, overwhelming. Mary's already warm from sleeping. She wraps herself around him, shares her heat. This is what makes the cold nights bearable. Coming home to this, to warmth, to Mary, to not being alone. They lie there not talking, just breathing, just being. After a while, Mary speaks. "I woke up an hour ago." "Yeah? Couldn't get back to sleep. Been lying here thinking." "About what?" "About you, walking around in the dark, by yourself." Richard pulls her closer. "It's fine. It's my job. I know. Doesn't mean I have to like it. You knew what you were getting when you married a watchman. I was 17. I didn't know anything." Fair point. Mary is quiet for a moment. Then, "The baker's daughter came by yesterday." Walter doesn't have a daughter. No. The miller's daughter, Emma, asking about bread prices. Richard sees where this is going. And I think maybe her mother put her up to it. Talk to Walter, see if there's interest. In marrying her off to him? He's twice her age. He's got a trade, owns his bakery, not the worst match. Richard thinks about this, about Emma, young and rough-handed, and full of whatever dreams 19-year-olds have, about Walter, tired and alone and buried in flour. She deserved better than that. Better than what? A man who works hard, who owns his own business, who could give her a comfortable life. Better than waking up at midnight every night for the rest of her life to help bake bread. Mary is quiet. Then she laughs, soft. "You wake up at midnight every night. That's different." "How?" "I get to come home to you." Mary kisses his shoulder. Smooth talker. They fall quiet again. Richard can feel sleep trying to pull him down. The second sleep, the one he desperately needs, but his mind won't shut off. Too much walking, too much cold, too much thinking. "You awake?" Mary whispers. "Yeah. I had a dream during the first sleep." "Yeah?" "About my mother. She was young, healthy, before the sickness took her." Richard remembers Mary's mother. Tough woman. Died hard. Good dream or bad dream? Good. She was laughing, telling me something. I can't remember what, but it felt important. People say dreams before the vigil are like that, more real, more meaningful. Messages from God, maybe, or just your brain doing weird things. Hard to tell. Maybe it was important, Richard says. Maybe. Mary shifts, gets comfortable against him. Are you hungry? Starving. There's bread from yesterday, and some cheese. Richard's stomach growls, loud enough that Mary laughs. I'll take that as a yes. She gets up, moves to the table. Richard hears her fumbling around in the dark, hears the sound of bread being torn, cheese being cut. She comes back to bed with food. They sit there, under the blanket, eating in the darkness, passing the bread back and forth, sharing the cheese. This is what the vigil is really for. Not prayer, not chores. This, sitting with someone you love, eating stale bread and hard cheese, talking about nothing, about everything. The harvest was bad, Mary says through a mouthful of bread. I know, people are going to struggle. They always struggle. This year will be worse. Richard knows she's right. He's seen it on his rounds, seen the way people's houses look darker, quieter, seen the way the smoke from their fires is thinner, less wood burning, less food cooking. We'll manage, he says, because what else can he say? Will we? We always do. Mary leans against him. I'm tired, Richard. I know. Not just tonight tired, all the time tired. He wraps his arm around her, holds her. Me too. And they are, both of them, tired from work, from worry, from living in a world where survival is the best you can hope for, where comfort is a warm bed and stale bread and someone to share it with, but they have each other, and in the darkness of a medieval night. That's not nothing. That's actually everything. They finish the food, brush the crumbs off the blanket, settle back down. Second sleep? Mary asks. Second sleep. They curl together, Mary's back against Richard's chest, his arm over her waist, both of them warm, both of them fed, both of them not alone. This is the vigil at its best, the quiet moment, the stolen time, the hour when life stops being about survival and starts being about connection. Richard closes his eyes, feels sleep coming for him. The second sleep. The final rest before dawn, and another day and another night of walking in the cold. But right now, he's warm. He's fed. He's with Mary. And that's enough. 3 houses over, Emma's mother and father are having their own midnight conversation. Her mother's voice is low, urgent. You need to talk to her. I'm not talking to her about this. Why not? You're her father. That's exactly why not. This is woman business. Emma's mother sighs. She likes the baker's boy. He's not a boy. He's a man. A grown man. You know what I mean. Emma's father is quiet. Emma can hear all of this. She's not asleep. Hasn't been for a while, but she's pretending, lying very still on her pallet, listening to her parents argue in whispers. She could do worse, her father finally says. She could do better. How? Who? Name one man in this village who's got better prospects than Walter. Silence, because there isn't one. Walter owns his trade, has his own building, makes actual money. Not a lot, but more than most. She's young, her mother says. So were you when we married. That was different. How? Another silence, longer this time. Then her mother speaks, very quiet. I want her to have choices. That's all. I want her to choose, not have it chosen for her. Emma's heart does something weird, something warm and painful at the same time. Her father is quiet for a long moment. Then she'll choose. Whatever we say, whatever we do, she'll choose. That girl's got a mind of her own. Always has. I know. So let her figure it out. She'll decide about Walter, or she won't. Either way, it's her life. Her mother doesn't respond, but Emma hears the bed creak, hears her parents shift closer together, then her father's voice again, softer. Remember our vigils? When we were young? We're not that old. Feels old. Speak for yourself. A quiet laugh. Then silence. The kind that means they're kissing, or holding each other, or whatever married people do in the darkness of the vigil. Emma closes her eyes, actually closes them, stops listening, gives her parents their privacy. She thinks about Walter, about the bakery, about waking up at midnight for the rest of her life. Is that really so terrible? To have work, to have purpose, to have someone to wake up with in the middle of the night and share stale bread with and talk about nothing important? Maybe not. Maybe that's actually everything. She doesn't know yet. She's 19. She has time to figure it out. But lying there, listening to her parents have their quiet midnight moment, she starts to understand something. The vigil isn't just about waking up, it's about who you wake up with, who's there in the darkness, who shares the bread and the fire and the quiet conversations that only happen when the rest of the world is asleep. Maybe Walter's not so bad. After all, maybe. At the manor house, Agnes is awake again. Damn it. She was sleeping, deeply, peacefully, and then her eyes just opened, like her brain decided sleep time was over. Eleanor is still out, still clutching her ugly doll, still breathing that slow, deep child sleep breathing. Robert is still snoring, still taking up more than is half of the bed. Agnes lies there, staring at darkness, thinking about the conversation she needs to have with him, about the harvest, about the rent, about being reasonable. "You awake?" Robert's voice, rough, sleepy. Agnes nearly jumps out of her skin. "I thought you were asleep." "I was. Then you woke up, and then I woke up." "Sorry. Don't be." He shifts, turns toward her. "Can't sleep? Not anymore? What's wrong?" Where does she even start? Everything. Nothing. The harvest. The village. Eleanor's nightmares. The fact that winter's coming and we're not ready. Robert is quiet. Then, "We're ready." Are we? We have stores. We have grain. We'll manage. And the villagers? They'll manage too. Agnes wants to scream, wants to shake him, make him understand. They won't. Not if we demand full rents, not if we don't help. If we help everyone who needs it, we'll have nothing. If we help no one, we'll have a dead village. And then what? Who works the fields? Who pays any rent at all? Robert sighs. "You worry too much." One of us has to. He reaches over, finds her hand in the darkness, holds it. "We'll figure it out. We always do." Agnes wants to believe him, wants to think it'll all work out, but she's seen bad winters, seen what happens when the harvest fails and the nobles squeeze too hard, seen people starve, seen children die. She doesn't want that, not in her village, not on her watch. "Promise me something," she says. "What?" "Promise me you'll listen when people come asking. Promise me you'll actually hear them. Consider their situation." Robert is quiet for a long time. Then, "I promise." It's not enough. It's not a guarantee, but it's something. "Thank you." They lie there, hands clasped, Eleanor sleeping between them, the vigil stretching out, quiet, dark, full of thoughts and worries and things that only make sense in the middle of the night. "Agnes." "I do listen. To you. Even when I pretend not to." She squeezes his hand. "I know." "Good." And maybe that's the real point of the vigil, the real reason bodies wake up at midnight. Not for prayer, not for chores, but for this, for honest conversations in the dark, for saying things that are too hard to say in daylight, for holding hands and making promises and being real with each other. Agnes closes her eyes, feels sleep coming back, the second sleep, the final rest. Tomorrow she'll worry. Tomorrow she'll plan, tomorrow she'll figure out how to save the village from winter. But tonight, right now, she's just a wife holding her husband's hand in the dark while their daughter sleeps between them, and that's enough. For now, that's enough. Walter's hands are covered in flour, white dust up to his elbows, under his fingernails, in every crack and crease of his skin. He's been at this for 4 hours now, 4 hours of kneading, shaping, loading loaves into the oven, pulling them out, starting over. His back is killing him. That spot between his shoulders feels like someone's driving a spike into it. His feet hurt, his wrists hurt, everything hurts, but the bread is coming out perfect, golden brown, crispy crust, soft inside, the way bread should be. He sets another loaf on the cooling rack, wipes sweat from his forehead with his forearm, leaves a white streak of flour across his face. He doesn't notice, doesn't care. The oven is roaring, heat blasting out every time he opens the door. The rest of the bakery is freezing, but his face feels like it's burning, like he's standing too close to the sun. Outside, he hears footsteps. Richard again, making another round. The watchman never stops, just walks and walks and walks. All night, every night. At least Walter gets to stand still, gets to be inside, gets to be near the heat. Small blessings. He pulls another loaf from the oven, checks it. Perfect. Next one. Perfect. Next one. Also perfect. Good. The monastery order needs to be flawless. The monks don't accept garbage bread. They're paying customers. Important customers. You don't disappoint the monks. Walter sets the monastery loaves aside, covers them with a clean cloth. They'll go out at dawn. Brother Benedict will come collect them personally, like he does every morning. Same time, same routine. Walter likes Brother Benedict. Quiet guy. Never complains. Always pays on time, unlike some people in this village who think bread should be free because they're going through a hard time. Everyone's going through a hard time. That's just life. Walter starts on the next batch. More dough. More kneading, more shaping. The movements are automatic now. His hands know what to do without his brain getting involved, which leaves his brain free to wander, to think, to remember. 3 years since Margaret died. 3 years of doing this alone, of waking in the middle of the night to an empty house, of working through the vigil with nobody to talk to, nobody to share the load. She used to help before the fever took her. She'd wake during the vigil, come down to the bakery, work alongside him. They'd talk, or not talk, just be together, in the orange glow of the oven, in the smell of rising dough. He misses that. God, he misses that. But sitting around missing her doesn't make bread, doesn't pay the bills, doesn't keep the oven burning, so he works. He always works. The door opens, cold air rushes in. Walter looks up. It's John, the miller's son, 14, skinny, all elbows and knees. "We're not open yet," Walter says. "I know. My mother sent me, asked if you need help." Walter stares at him. "Help with what?" "The baking. She said maybe you could use an extra pair of hands during the vigil." "Ah, so that's what this is. Emma's mother is playing matchmaker. Send the son to help the baker. Get the families talking. See if there's interest. Subtle. Real subtle. I don't need help," Walter says. "Oh, okay." John looks disappointed, or maybe relieved. Hard to tell. "I'll tell her." He turns to leave. Walter watches him. Thinks about 4 more hours of working alone. of his aching back and burning hands and the endless, endless silence. Wait. John stops, turns back. You know how to knead dough? Not really. You willing to learn, I guess? Walter gestures to the table. Come here. John approaches, cautious, like he's approaching a wild animal. Walter grabs a lump of dough, slaps it on the table. Put your hands on it. John does. His hands are clean, soft. Not a baker's hands. Not yet. Press down. Fold it over. Press again. Keep doing that until I tell you to stop. John starts kneading, awkward, uneven, putting too much pressure in some spots and not enough in others, but he's doing it. And honestly, Walter doesn't care if it's perfect. He just doesn't want to be alone anymore. They work in silence. Walter shaping loaves, John kneading dough like his life depends on it, the oven crackling, the night pressing in from outside. After a while, John speaks. My sister talks about you. Walter's hands pause, just for a second. Does she? Yeah, she thinks you're lonely. I am lonely. The honesty surprises both of them. John stops kneading, looks at Walter. Walter keeps working. Being lonely doesn't mean I need charity. It's not charity. My mother just thought, I know what your mother thought. Tell her I appreciate it. But I'm not looking for a wife. I had one. She died. That's it. John is quiet. Then, she also said you make the best bread in 3 villages. Your mother said that? No, my sister. Walter feels something in his chest, something warm and painful at the same time. She's right, I do make the best bread. John grins, goes back to kneading. They work. The vigil stretches on. Outside, the night continues. Inside, the bakery is warm and bright and smells like everything good in the world. 2 miles outside the village, in a small farmhouse, Peter is pulling on his boots. His wife groans. Not again. The cow's close. I need to check her. You checked her an hour ago. That was during the first sleep. This is the vigil. Different. The cow doesn't care about the vigil. Peter laughs, quietly. Doesn't want to wake the kids. No, she doesn't. But he goes anyway, because that's what farmers do. They wake during the vigil and check on things. Check on animals. Check on fields. Make sure everything's still there. Still alive. Still okay. He grabs a lantern, lights it from the banked coals in the hearth. The flame gutters, catches, glows orange. Outside, the cold hits him like a fist. Jesus, it's freezing. His breath comes out in huge clouds. His nose starts running immediately. The barn is 50 feet from the house, might as well be a mile. He trudges through the dark, his boots crunching on frozen ground, the lantern swinging. Inside the barn, it's warmer. Not warm, but warmer. The animals generate heat, their breath, their bodies. It helps. The cow is in the back stall, big, pregnant, due any day now. She's lying down, breathing heavy. Peter approaches, slow, calm. Hey girl, how you doing? The cow looks at him. Her eyes are huge, liquid. She makes a sound, not quite a moo, more like a question. I know it's uncomfortable. Won't be long now. He checks her over, feels her belly. She's tight, hard. The calf is definitely close, but not tonight. Not yet. Soon, though. Very soon. You're doing great, he tells her. Because talking to animals is what farmers do. Even if the animals don't understand, even if it's stupid, it makes him feel better. And right now, that's what matters. He checks the other animals while he's here. The chickens are roosting. The pig is asleep. The other cow is fine. Everything is fine. Good. He heads back to the house. The cold is worse now. Bitter. The kind that gets into your bones and won't leave. His wife is awake when he gets back, sitting by the fire, wrapped in a blanket. Well, she's fine. Close, but fine. You're going to be up all night tomorrow. When she actually goes into labour. Probably. You need to sleep. I will. Second sleep is coming. I can feel it. He sits beside her, shares her blanket, shares the warmth of the fire. "The harvest was bad," she says. "I know. We're going to struggle this winter. We'll manage." Will we? Peter doesn't answer, because honestly, he doesn't know. The harvest was bad. They have enough grain to last maybe 3 months, maybe. After that, it's prayer and luck and hoping nothing else goes wrong. But saying that won't help, won't change anything, so he just holds her, shares the blanket, shares the fire. This is what the vigil is for farmers, for checking animals, for worrying about harvests, for holding your wife and pretending everything's going to be okay even when you're pretty sure it's not. "We'll manage," he says again, because maybe if he says it enough times, it'll become true. Back at the manor house, down in the kitchen, Maud is preparing tomorrow's breakfast. She's been awake since the vigil started. Has to be. Someone needs to make sure there's food ready when the nobles wake up. Someone needs to make sure the fire's going. Someone needs to do the work nobody sees. Her hands move through the motions, chopping onions, dicing turnips, getting the pottage started so it'll be ready at dawn. The kitchen is warm from the fire she restarted earlier. Her feet are warm. Her hands are warm. Small blessings. Above her, the manor house sleeps. Lord Robert, Lady Agnes, little Eleanor, the other servants, all of them in their beds, sleeping their second sleep. But Maud is awake, working, because that's her life. That's what servants do. She doesn't mind. Not really. This is honest work, hard work, the kind that matters. And it's quiet, peaceful. Nobody's yelling at her. Nobody's demanding things. Just her and the fire and food and the steady rhythm of chopping. This is her vigil, her midnight. Not prayer, not rest, just work. The kind of work that keeps the world turning. She hears footsteps above. Someone walking, probably Lady Agnes. The lady doesn't sleep well. Maud knows, has heard her pacing at night, heard her talking to Lord Robert, heard the worry in her voice. The nobles have their problems, the servants have theirs, different problems. Same darkness, same vigil, same midnight. Maud adds the vegetables to the pot, stirs. The smell fills the kitchen, onions and turnips and barley. Not exciting, but it's food, and food matters. She sits by the fire, gives herself a moment, just a moment, to rest, to breathe, to not be working. The vigil stretches on. Outside, the night is complete. Inside, the fire crackles, the pot bubbles, life continues. In an hour or so, Maud will finish her work, will climb the stairs to her small room, will lie down on her narrow bed, will sleep the second sleep, the brief one, the one that'll carry her to dawn when she has to wake up and do it all over again. But for now, she rests. Lets the fire warm her, lets the smell of cooking food fill her nose, lets herself just be. This is the vigil, for everyone, in their own way, rest or work, prayer or practical tasks, alone or together. The vigil is what you make it, and right now Maud makes it about sitting by a fire, warming her hands, stealing a moment of peace before the world wakes up and demands things again. At the monastery, 3 miles from the village, the bells are ringing. Brother Benedict wakes immediately. Years of training, years of discipline. The bells ring, you wake. Simple. He swings his legs out of bed. The dormitory is freezing. The stone floor is colder. He finds his sandals, puts them on, wraps his robe tighter. Around him, the other monks are doing the same. Silent, efficient. Nobody talks. Nobody needs to. The bells call them to matins. The midnight prayer, the vigil service. They file out of the dormitory, down the cold hallway, into the chapel. The chapel is dark except for a few candles. The stone walls hold the cold like a tomb. Brother Benedict can see his breath. They take their places, stand in rows, face the altar, and they pray, sing the psalms, chant the responses, let the words wash over them, through them. This is what monks do during the vigil. They pray. They worship. They dedicate the darkness to God. Brother Benedict's mind wanders. He tries to focus, tries to keep his attention on the words, on the meaning, on the devotion, but his thoughts drift to the bread Walter will have ready at dawn, to the work that needs doing in the garden, to the letter he needs to write to his brother in the next town. Human thoughts, mundane thoughts, the kind of thoughts that have nothing to do with God and everything to do with just being alive. He pulls his focus back, returns to the psalm, to the chanting, to the ritual. This is the vigil, the watch, the time when heaven and earth are supposed to be closer, when prayers have more weight, when God actually listens. Brother Benedict isn't sure he believes that, but he does it anyway, because that's what monks do. They pray, they work, they follow the rule. And maybe that's enough. Maybe devotion doesn't require belief. Maybe it just requires showing up, night after night, vigil after vigil, praying the words even when they feel empty. The service ends, the monks file out, return to their cells, return to their narrow beds. Some will sleep the second sleep. Some will stay awake, will study, will read, will continue their private devotions. Brother Benedict returns to his bed, lies down, closes his eyes. Sleep comes quickly, the second sleep, the final rest before dawn, and another day of work and prayer and trying to be holy in a cold stone monastery. But for now, he sleeps, like everyone else, like the miller's daughter and the baker and the watchman and the farmer and the servant and the noble lady. All of them sleeping. All of them resting, all of them waiting for dawn. In the alehouse at the edge of the village, 3 men are awake. They're not locals, travellers, merchants maybe, or just men passing through on their way to somewhere else. They're sharing a bed, all 3 of them, crammed onto a wooden platform with a thin straw mattress and one scratchy blanket between them. The one on the left is maybe 30. The middle one is older, 50 at least. The one on the right is young, 20, 21. They woke up an hour ago, all 3 at roughly the same time, just like everyone else. The young one speaks first. "I can't sleep like this." "Get used to it," the older man says. "This is how travel works. You share beds, you deal with it." He's snoring. The young one points at the middle man, who is indeed snoring, loud, like rocks grinding together. "Then wake him up. You wake him up." "I'm not waking him up. Let him sleep." The young one sighs, shifts position. The straw pokes him in the ribs. "This is miserable." "You want miserable? Try sleeping on the ground, in the rain, with nothing but your cloak for a blanket. That's miserable. This?" The older man gestures at the bed. "This is luxury." The young one doesn't look convinced. They lie there, all 3 of them, awake during the vigil, not by choice, just because that's what bodies do. They wake up at midnight whether you want them to or not. Downstairs they can hear movement. The alehouse keeper, probably checking the fire, making sure the building doesn't burn down while everyone sleeps. "You think he's got food?" the young one asks. "Not for us, not until morning." "I'm hungry." "You're always hungry." "I'm 20, I'm supposed to be hungry." The older man laughs, quietly. "Fair point." They fall silent again. Outside, wind rattles the shutters. Inside, the middleman keeps snoring. This is the vigil for travellers, for people on the road, for men who don't have homes, don't have wives, don't have the comfort of familiar beds and familiar sounds, just shared mattresses with strangers, cold alehouses, the uncertainty of tomorrow. The young one speaks again. "You ever think about settling down?" "Every day." "So why don't you?" The older man is quiet for a long time. Then, "Because I'm good at this, at travelling, at trading, at moving from place to place. I'm not good at staying still." "That sounds lonely." "It is." They lapse back into silence. The vigil stretches on. The young one eventually stops squirming. The older man closes his eyes. The middle man keeps snoring. And eventually, one by one, they sink back into sleep, the second sleep, the one that'll carry them to dawn and another day of travelling, another town, another shared bed with strangers. This is how the vigil works for people without homes, without roots, without the luxury of private beds and familiar faces. You wake, you lie there, you wait, you sleep again, and tomorrow you move on. Back in the village, in the smallest house on the poorest street, old Margaret is awake. She's 73, ancient by medieval standards. Most people don't make it past 50, but Margaret is tough, stubborn, refuses to die even though her body is screaming at her to give up. She lives alone, has for 15 years, since her husband died, since her children scattered to other villages, other lives. Her bed is barely a bed, more like a pile of rags on the floor. She can't afford straw, can't afford a mattress, can't afford anything. But she has a roof, has 4 walls, has a door that closes. That's more than some people have. She's been awake for hours, didn't really sleep the first sleep, hasn't slept properly in years. Old age does that, makes sleep impossible, makes the vigil last all night. She sits by the fire. Well, calling it a fire is generous. It's barely embers, barely anything, just enough heat to keep her from freezing. Her joints hurt, her back hurts, her hands hurt, everything hurts. Being old is just pain, constant, grinding pain, and the knowledge that it's never going to get better, only worse. She hears footsteps outside. Richard, probably, the watchman, making sure she's still alive. He does that, checks on her every night during his rounds, taps on her door, waits for her to tap back. A simple code. 1 tap means she's okay. No tap means he needs to break down the door. She taps. Once. Hard enough that he'll hear. The footsteps pause, then continue. He's satisfied. She's alive for another night. Margaret stares at the embers, thinks about her husband, about her children, about the life she had before age turned her into this. She wasn't always old, wasn't always alone. She used to wake during the vigil and have someone to talk to, someone to hold, someone to make the darkness less dark. But that was a long time ago, 50 years ago, a different life. Now she's just old and alone and waiting to die. The vigil is cruel when you're old. It's too long, too quiet, too much time to think about everything you've lost, everything that's gone. She adds another tiny piece of wood to the fire, watches it catch, burn, turn to ash. Like everything else, everything burns, everything turns to ash. Eventually, she closes her eyes, tries to sleep, the second sleep. The one that might take her through to morning, or might not. At her age, you never know if you're going to wake up. But she's too tired to care, too old to worry about it. She drifts, sinks, falls into something that might be sleep or might be death. Hard to tell the difference anymore. At the manor house, in a guest room, Sir William is awake. He's visiting from 2 towns over. Came for business with Lord Robert, some negotiation about land or taxes or something equally boring. His bed is incredible. Feather bed, silk sheets, fur coverlet, canopy, curtains, whole setup, and he can't sleep. Not because it's uncomfortable. It's the most comfortable bed he's ever been in, but his mind won't shut off. He woke during the vigil, like everyone, but instead of drifting back to sleep, his brain decided to review every stupid thing he's ever said or done. That time he insulted the bishop, that time he lost money on a bad investment, that time he proposed to Catherine and she laughed, literally laughed. His mind is cruel during the vigil, just replays all his failures, all his mistakes, all his regrets. He gets out of bed, paces, the room is warm, there's a brazier in the corner, tapestries on the walls, everything a noble could want, but he's still miserable. He hears voices, quiet, coming from down the hall. Lord Robert and Lady Agnes, probably, having one of their midnight conversations. Sir William envies that, envies having someone to talk to, someone who knows you, who shares the vigil with you. He's 42 and alone, never married, never found anyone who could stand him long enough. His fault, probably. He's difficult, demanding, has standards nobody can meet, including himself. The vigil makes you face that kind of thing, makes you look at your life and see it clearly, see what you have, what you don't have, what you'll never have. He returns to bed, lies there, stares at the canopy above him. Tomorrow he'll negotiate with Lord Robert. Tomorrow he'll be important and powerful and in control. But tonight, right now, he's just a lonely man in a dark room, thinking about all the ways his life went wrong. The second sleep eventually comes, pulls him under, into dreams about Catherine, about her laugh, about the life he could have had if he'd been different, better, less himself. Down in the village, Emma is deeply asleep, has been for hours. The second sleep took her hard. She's young, her body knows how to rest. She's dreaming about bread, which is weird, but dreams are weird. In the dream, she's in the bakery. Walter is showing her how to knead dough, his hands over hers, guiding, teaching. It's not romantic, not really, just practical, just learning a trade. But there's something comfortable about it, something safe, like this is what life could be, working beside someone, learning from them, building something together. She doesn't know what it means, doesn't know if it's a message or just her brain doing random things. But she sleeps, deeply, peacefully, the way 19-year-olds sleep when they're not worried about anything yet. When you're young, the vigil is simple. You wake up. You go back to sleep. That's it. When you're old, like Margaret, the vigil is torture. Too long, too painful, too much thinking. When you're middle-aged, like Emma's parents or Walter or Richard, the vigil is necessary. It's when you check things, fix things, have important conversations. It's when life actually happens. And when you're rich, like Agnes or Sir William, the vigil is whatever you make it, comfortable or miserable, depending on your mind, your circumstances, your company. The vigil doesn't care about your age, doesn't care about your station, doesn't care about your problems. It just is. It happens every night to everyone. First sleep, vigil, second sleep, dawn, the rhythm that holds the medieval world together. At the monastery, Brother Benedict is awake again. Couldn't fall back asleep after matins. His mind is too active, too full of thoughts. He's in the scriptorium, copying a manuscript, working by candlelight, his hand moving across the page, careful, precise. This is what some monks do during the vigil. They work, they study, they copy texts, they preserve knowledge while the world sleeps. Brother Benedict finds peace in this, in the scratching of the quill, in the smell of ink, in the slow, steady work of creating something beautiful. He's copying the Gospel of Luke, has been for 3 months, will probably take another 3 to finish, but that's fine. Time means nothing in a monastery. Everything moves at the same pace, slow, deliberate, eternal. The candle flickers, the shadows dance, his hand keeps moving. This is his vigil, not prayer, not sleep, just work, holy work, the kind that matters. Outside, the night continues. Inside, Brother Benedict writes, letter by letter, word by word, building something that will last long after he's dead. That's the point, really, to leave something behind, to make your vigil matter, to use the darkness for something more than just waiting for dawn. He finishes a line, starts another. The words flow. Ancient words, sacred words, words that have been copied 1,000 times by 1,000 monks in 1,000 dark rooms. And he's part of that. part of the chain, part of the tradition, part of something bigger than himself. The vigil is different for everyone, but it's the same for everyone too. It's the pause, the breath, the moment when life stops rushing forward and just exists. Some people use it for prayer, some for work, some for love, some for worry, some for nothing at all, but everyone has it. Everyone wakes, everyone experiences that quiet hour in the darkness. Rich or poor, young or old, alone or together, the vigil is the great equalizer, the thing that makes everyone human, everyone vulnerable, everyone awake in the dark and wondering what it all means. Brother Benedict finishes another page, sets down his quill, rubs his eyes. He's tired. The second sleep is calling. He can feel it, that pull toward rest, toward dreams, toward whatever the night holds. He blows out the candle, walks back to his cell, lies down on his narrow bed, and sleeps like everyone else, like the miller's daughter and the lonely noble and the old woman and the travelling merchants and the baker and the watchman and the farmer, all of them sleeping, all of them resting, all of them waiting for dawn, for morning, for another day. But that's still hours away. Right now, it's still night, still dark, still the vigil, and the world sleeps, in shifts, in stages, in the ancient rhythm that humanity has followed since the beginning. First sleep, vigil, second sleep, the pattern, the cycle, the way things have always been, until they change, until the world shifts, until artificial light and industrial schedules and modern life destroy the rhythm forever. But that's coming in a few hundred years, in the blink of an eye, historically speaking. For now, the medieval world sleeps, in two shifts, in the darkness, in the comfort of a pattern that feels natural, normal, right. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, they'll all wake and work and live, and eventually, when night falls again, they'll sleep 2 times, like always, like their parents did, like their grandparents did, like everyone has always done, because that's just how sleep works, how it's always worked, how it always will work, right? Right? The second sleep is different, not worse, not better, just different. Emma sinks into it like falling into water, heavy, complete, her body surrendering to rest one more time before morning demands everything from her again. The dream about the bakery fades, replaced by something else, something formless, just colours and sensations and the vague awareness that she's sleeping. Her brothers are out too. John stopped shifting around an hour ago. Dickon never woke up at all. Kid sleeps like the dead. Behind the curtain, her parents are quiet, their breathing synchronized. After 22 years of marriage, even their sleep rhythms match. The house settles, the fire burns low, the darkness deepens. This is the second sleep, the final rest, the one that carries you from midnight to dawn, from vigil to daylight, from one day to the next. It's lighter than the first sleep, not as deep. Your brain knows morning is coming, knows you need to be ready to wake up for real, to face work, to face life, but it's still sleep, still rest, still your body doing what it needs to do. Emma's breathing slows, her heartbeat slows. The world fades to nothing. Across the village, Walter is still awake. He can't remember the last time he had a proper second sleep, maybe 3 years ago, maybe longer, when Margaret was alive and helping him and he could actually rest. Now he just works, through the first sleep, through the vigil, through the second sleep, until dawn breaks and the bread is ready and the village wakes up hungry. John left an hour ago. Good kid, learned fast, didn't complain. Walter appreciated that. The monastery loaves are done, perfect. Golden, ready for Brother Benedict to collect at first light. The village loaves are done, 20 of them, cooling on the racks, filling the bakery with that smell, that incredible smell of fresh bread. Walter's exhausted, his hands hurt, his back hurts, everything hurts, but he's done for tonight, for this vigil, for this endless night. He sits on the bench by the oven, lets the heat wash over him, closes his eyes. Maybe he'll get an hour of sleep, maybe 2, before dawn, before the village wakes, before another day starts. Maybe. He leans back against the wall. The stone is warm from the oven, comforting. His mind wanders to Margaret, to Emma, to John's words earlier. My sister talks about you. He shouldn't care, shouldn't let it matter, but it does. Because he's lonely, because he's tired, because waking up alone every night for 3 years has worn him down to nothing. Maybe he should talk to her, to Emma, see if there's something there, see if she's actually interested, or if her mother is just pushing. Or maybe he should leave it alone, keep his head down, keep working, keep surviving. He doesn't know, he's too tired to know. Sleep takes him right there on the bench, sitting up, leaning against the warm stone. His second sleep coming in fragments, in stolen moments, in whatever rest he can grab before morning. Richard made it home an hour ago, collapsed into bed next to Mary, fell asleep instantly. His second sleep is deep, heavy, the kind that comes from walking for 6 hours in the freezing cold, from checking every door, every gate, every shadow. He doesn't dream, doesn't move, just sleeps, like falling into a pit and staying there. Mary is awake beside him, can't sleep, too worried about winter, about food, about whether they'll make it through. But Richard is sleeping, breathing steady, warm next to her. She lets him sleep, doesn't wake him. He needs it, needs every minute he can get before dawn comes and drags him back out into the cold. She lies there, listening to him breathe, feeling grateful that he came home, that he's safe, that they have another day together. The second sleep is different when you're worried, when your mind won't stop, when the darkness feels heavier than it should. But she stays still, stays quiet, lets Richard rest, and eventually she drifts too, into something that might be sleep, light, fragile, but it's something. At the farm, Peter is back in bed. The cow is fine, still not ready. He can sleep for a few more hours before he needs to check again. His wife is already deep in her second sleep, snoring slightly, face pressed into the pillow. Peter slides in beside her, careful not to wake her. The bed is warm from her body heat. He curls around her, shares the warmth. Tomorrow's going to be hard. Work in the fields, preparing for winter, hoping the cow delivers a healthy calf, hoping they have enough grain to last. But that's tomorrow. Right now, he sleeps. The second sleep. The final rest before dawn. His breathing evens out. His body relaxes. Sleep takes him. And in the barn, the cow shifts, breathes, waits, her time coming soon, very soon, but not tonight, not yet. Agnes is dreaming. Good dreams this time. Eleanor is older, 10 or 11, laughing, running through the garden. Robert is there too, smiling, actually smiling instead of scowling. The dream is so real she can smell the flowers, feel the sun, hear Eleanor's laugh echoing off the manor house walls. She doesn't want to wake up, doesn't want this to end. But dreams never last. They fade, dissolve, leave you reaching for something that was never real. She drifts deeper, into darkness, into the second sleep that'll carry her to morning, to another day of managing, of negotiating, of trying to hold everything together. Beside her, Eleanor has stopped moving, settled into her own deep sleep, clutching that ugly doll, safe, warm, protected. Robert is snoring again, that familiar sound, the one Agnes has fallen asleep to for 12 years. Her family, her responsibility, her life, She sleeps, the second sleep, carrying her through the last hours of darkness, toward dawn, toward whatever tomorrow brings. In the monastery, the bells are silent. Matins is done. The next service won't be until Lauds, at dawn. When the sun rises and the new day officially begins, Brother Benedict is asleep in his cell, flat on his narrow bed. No pillow, no comfort, just sleep, pure and simple. The other monks are the same, all of them resting, the second sleep taking the entire monastery, wrapping it in silence. The scriptorium is empty, the chapel is empty, the hallways are empty, just stone and darkness and sleeping monks. This is what the second sleep looks like in a monastery. Complete, total, everyone resting before the day's work begins. No vigil conversations, no midnight tasks, just prayer and then sleep. The rhythm of religious life, structured, predictable, safe. Brother Benedict doesn't dream. His sleep is blank, empty, just rest without thought or image. And outside his window, the sky is starting to change, just barely. The darkness isn't quite as dark. The black is turning to deep blue. Dawn is coming. Emma's eyes open, not all the way, just a crack. Just enough to sense that something's different. The room is still dark, but not midnight dark, not vigil dark. This is pre-dawn dark, the kind that means morning is close. She can hear it too, the village waking up, a rooster crowing, distant, followed by another, then another, doors opening, shutters being unlatched, people stirring. The second sleep is ending, has ended. Time to get up, time to start the day. Emma groans, doesn't want to move. The straw is still poking her, but she's warm, comfortable, or comfortable enough. Emma, her mother's voice, tired. Time to wake up. 5 more minutes. Now. Emma sits up. The cold air hit her immediately. Jesus, it's freezing. She can see her breath. John is already up, moving around, getting dressed. Dickon is still asleep. Of course. Wake your brother, her mother says. Emma pokes Dickon with her foot. Up. He groans. Rolls over. Doesn't wake up. She pokes him harder. Up. Now. Go away. Get up, or I'm telling Mother you peed the bed. I didn't pee the bed. Then get up. He sits up, glaring at her. I hate you. Good. Get dressed. The family stirs, coming alive. Night officially over. The 2 sleeps finished. The day beginning. Emma's father is already pulling on his boots, getting ready to head to the mill. The stones won't turn themselves. Her mother is moving to the hearth, coaxing the coals back to life, adding wood, getting the fire going for breakfast. This is how mornings work, everyone waking up at roughly the same time. Not because of clocks, not because of alarms, just because the sun is about to rise and work needs to happen. Emma gets dressed. Her dress is cold, everything is cold, but she pulls it on anyway, wraps her shawl around her shoulders. Outside, the sky is lighter, blue-grey, the stars are fading. Dawn is maybe 20 minutes away. She can smell bread, fresh bread, from Walter's bakery. He did it, worked all night, made tomorrow's bread in yesterday's darkness, just like he does every single night. Emma thinks about him, about the conversation with her mother, about whether she could do that, live that life, wake up at midnight forever. She doesn't know, honestly doesn't know. But she's 19. She has time to figure it out, time to decide. Right now, she just needs to get through today. Help her mother, help her father, do the work that needs doing. The rest will sort itself out, eventually. Walter wakes with a start. Damn, he fell asleep, on the bench, like an idiot. He looks around. The bakery is quiet. The loaves are still on the racks. Still perfect. Good. Outside, he can hear the village waking up. Footsteps, voices, life starting again. He stands, stretches, his back cracks, his neck cracks. Everything hurts worse than before, but the bread is done. That's what matters. He walks to the door, opens it. The cold air hits his face. The sky is getting lighter. Dawn is close. Brother Benedict will be here soon, right on time, like always, to collect the monastery loaves, and then the villagers will come, buying bread for their families. Starting another day. Walter rubs his face, tries to wake up, tries to feel human. He got maybe an hour of sleep, maybe less. His second sleep was a joke, a fragment, nothing. But it'll have to be enough. It's always enough. It has to be. He hears footsteps, turns. Brother Benedict is already here, early, walking up the lane, his robe swishing, his sandals slapping the frozen ground. "Morning, Walter. Morning, brother. The bread ready?" "Always is." Walter goes inside, gets the monastery loaves, wrapped in clean cloth, still warm. Brother Benedict takes them, nods his thanks, leaves without another word. Monks don't waste time on conversation. They have prayers to say, lauds to sing, holy work to do. Walter watches him go, then turns back to the bakery, to the village loaves, to another day of the same thing he did yesterday, the same thing he'll do tomorrow. This is his life now. Has been for 3 years. Will be for however many years he has left. Work through the night, grab an hour of sleep, wake up, sell bread, sleep a few hours during the day, wake up, start again. Not the life he wanted, but it's the life he has. He sits on the bench, waits for customers, watches the sky get lighter and lighter. Dawn is here, the night is over, the 2 sleeps are finished, and the world keeps turning, like it always does, whether you're ready or not. At the manor house, Agnes wakes to Eleanor's elbow in her ribs. "Mama, I'm hungry." Agnes groans. "What time is it?" "Morning time." That's not helpful, but Eleanor's right. It's morning. The room is lighter, not much, but enough to tell that dawn is close. Robert is already up, getting dressed, preparing for the day. Lord things, noble things, whatever he does. Agnes sits up. Her hair is a mess. Her mouth tastes terrible, but she's awake. The second sleep is over. "Come on," she tells Eleanor. "Let's get you breakfast." They go downstairs. The kitchen is already alive. Maud and the other servants moving around, making breakfast, getting the household ready for the day. The smell of fresh bread fills the air. Walter's bread, delivered by Brother Benedict. The cycle continuing, work to food to life. Agnes sits with Eleanor. They eat porridge, fresh bread with butter, weak ale because the water isn't safe. This is morning in a manor house. Comfortable, safe, warm. But the pattern is the same. First sleep, vigil. Second sleep, dawn, rich or poor. Everyone follows the same rhythm, at least for now, at least in this time, in this world, before everything changes, before the old ways fade, before humanity forgets how to sleep in shifts. But that's coming. Change is always coming. For now, Agnes eats breakfast with her daughter. Robert deals with his morning business. The servants work. The manor house wakes up. And outside, the sun breaks the horizon. Light floods the valley, chases away the darkness. The night is over. The day has begun. First sleep, vigil, second sleep, dawn, the pattern, the rhythm, the way things have always been, until they aren't anymore. The sun is fully up now. The village is alive. Emma is at the well, hauling water, her arms already sore and the day just started. Dickon and John are helping their father at the mill. The stones are turning, grinding grain into flour. Walter's bakery is busy, people buying bread, exchanging coins, complaining about prices, normal morning stuff. Richard is finally home, properly home, sleeping his actual rest, the kind that happens during daylight when you've been up all night. Mary is working around him, quiet, letting him recover. Agnes is dealing with manor business, listening to complaints, making decisions, trying to keep Lord Robert from being an idiot about the harvest situation. This is how days work after the 2-sleep night. You wake up, you work, you do what needs doing, you survive, and when night falls again, you'll do it all over. First sleep, vigil, second sleep, dawn, the pattern, the rhythm, the way humans have slept for thousands of years. But here's the thing. Here's what nobody in that medieval village could possibly know. This pattern, this ancient, natural, human way of sleeping, it's about to disappear. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon, in historical terms, in the blink of an eye, because change is coming, big change, the kind that rewrites everything. 300 years from Emma's time, something happens. Well, lots of things happen, but 2 things in particular destroy the 2-sleep pattern forever. First, light. Not candlelight, not firelight, real light. Gas lamps appear in the 1700s, bright enough to actually see by, bright enough to extend the day past sunset, bright enough to make nighttime less terrifying. Suddenly, you don't have to go to bed at sunset. You can stay up, read, talk, work. The evening becomes usable time instead of just darkness to endure. And then electric light. 1880s, game over. Night becomes day, darkness becomes optional. You flip a switch and boom, light everywhere, anytime. Your brain gets confused. The melatonin that's supposed to surge at sunset, delayed, suppressed, tricked by artificial brightness into thinking it's still daytime. So bedtime shifts. Later, later, later. People start going to sleep at 10, 11, midnight, which compresses the night. Instead of 14 hours of darkness to divide into 2 sleeps, you've got maybe 8 hours, maybe less, and that changes everything. Second, work. The Industrial Revolution hits, 1760s through 1840s. Factories everywhere, machines running, production schedules, shift work. Suddenly your employer doesn't care about your natural sleep rhythm, doesn't care about your vigil, cares about you showing up at 6 a.m. ready to work, alert, productive. You can't tell your factory boss, sorry, I woke up at midnight and couldn't get back to sleep until 2, so I'm tired. He'll fire you, replace you with someone who can conform to the schedule, so people adapt. They force themselves to sleep through the night. One continuous block. No waking, no vigil, just unconsciousness from bedtime to alarm clock. And the alarm clock. Don't even get started on the alarm clock, this horrible invention that rips you from sleep whether your body is ready or not, that forces you awake based on what time your job starts instead of when you've actually rested enough. Medieval people didn't need alarm clocks. Their bodies woke them up, naturally, at the right times. But modern people, we can't trust our bodies anymore. We've trained them to ignore their natural rhythms, to sleep when we tell them, wake when we tell them, function on our schedule instead of theirs. By the early 1900s, the 2-sleep pattern basically gone, erased from common practice, forgotten. People who wake up at midnight now think something's wrong with them, think they have insomnia, think they need medicine or therapy or sleep studies, when really their body is just doing what bodies have done for millennia, waking during the vigil, ready for that quiet hour before the second sleep. But nobody knows that anymore. Nobody remembers. The knowledge disappeared, along with the practice, along with the midnight conversations and the shared bread and the quiet moments by the fire. All of it gone. Until the 1990s. A scientist named Thomas Ware decides to run an experiment. He takes a group of people and removes them from artificial light, completely just natural darkness for 14 hours every night. And guess what happens? Within a few weeks, they start sleeping in 2 shifts. First, sleep. Wake up after a few hours. Stay awake for 1 or 2 hours. Second, sleep. Their bodies just do it, automatically, without being told, without knowing about medieval sleep patterns or historical practices. The pattern is still there, buried in our biology, waiting to resurface when we remove the artificial constraints. Other researchers have confirmed it. When you let people sleep naturally, without electric light or alarm clocks or work schedules, many of them revert to biphasic sleep. Not everyone. Some people sleep straight through. Bodies are different. But enough people split their sleep that scientists now think it might be our natural default, the way we're actually supposed to sleep. Which means millions of people today who lie awake at 2 a.m. panicking about their insomnia might just be experiencing a normal biological pattern, their body trying to have a vigil, trying to give them that quiet hour. But instead of accepting it, we fight it, we stress about it, we take medication to force ourselves back to sleep, we treat our bodies like they're broken when they're actually working exactly as designed. Kind of sad when you think about it. We lost something valuable, that midnight hour, that quiet space, that time for reflection and conversation and just being human in the darkness. Medieval people knew their vigil was important. They valued it. They used it for prayer, for intimacy, for tending to life's necessities. We just see it as a problem to fix. So, what did we actually lose? The conversations, for one thing. The deep, honest, middle-of-the-night talks that only happen when it's dark and quiet and the normal social rules are suspended, when you can say things you'd never say in daylight. The connection, that feeling of waking up with someone, sharing the vigil, not being alone in the darkness, the peace, that hour when nothing is demanded of you, no work, no obligations, just time. Pure, unstructured time to think or dream or do nothing at all. The humanity, the reminder that you're not a machine, that you can't just run continuously for 16 hours and then shut down for 8, that you need breaks, pauses, moments to breathe. Medieval people had hard lives, brutally hard. They worked until their bodies gave out. They died young. They suffered in ways we can't imagine, but they had the vigil. They had that gift, that space, and we don't. We optimized it away, made ourselves more productive, more efficient, more aligned with industrial capitalism and its demands, but more tired, more stressed, more anxious about our sleep, more disconnected from our bodies and their natural rhythms. Was it worth it? Hard to say. We have electric light, indoor plumbing, modern medicine, lives that are longer and more comfortable than anything Emma or Walter or Agnes could have imagined. But we don't have the vigil, don't have that midnight hour, don't have the permission to wake up and just be awake without feeling like something's wrong. Some sleep researchers now suggest that people struggling with insomnia should try working with their body instead of against it. If you wake up at 2 a.m., don't panic. Don't force yourself back to sleep. Get up, read, meditate, have a snack, enjoy the quiet. And then, when your body is ready, go back to bed. Have your second sleep. Wake up naturally. It won't work for everyone. Modern life doesn't always allow it. Jobs and kids and obligations make it hard to follow your natural rhythms. But for some people, it might help. Might reduce the anxiety, might make sleep feel less like a battle and more like a natural process. It's worth thinking about, worth considering, worth remembering that the way we sleep now isn't the only way, isn't even the historical way. It's just the way we've trained ourselves to sleep in the last 150 years, which is nothing, a blip, a moment in human history. For thousands of years before that, humans slept in shifts, woke during the vigil, had their quiet hour. And their bodies were fine. Their sleep was fine. They rested and recovered and lived their lives without obsessing about getting 8 continuous hours. Maybe we could learn something from that. Maybe we could be a little gentler with ourselves, a little more accepting of what our bodies want to do. Or maybe not. Maybe continuous sleep really is better for modern life, for modern demands, for the world we've built. But at least we know now, that waking at midnight isn't a disorder, isn't a problem, isn't broken. It's just your body remembering a pattern so old it's written into your biology, into your genes, into the very structure of how you're built. First sleep, vigil, second sleep. The rhythm of humanity, the pattern of the ages, the way we slept when we lived in harmony with darkness instead of fighting against it. Emma and Walter and Agnes and Richard and all the rest, they didn't know they were part of something ancient, something that would disappear, something that future generations would forget and then rediscover. They just knew they woke up at midnight, had their hour, went back to sleep. And maybe that's enough. Maybe it's not about knowing or understanding or optimizing. Maybe it's just about accepting, about being human, about following the rhythms that have guided us since we first learned to close our eyes and rest. The medieval world is gone. The 2-sleep pattern is mostly gone. The vigil is gone, but the memory remains in our bodies, in our biology, in that little voice that says, when you wake at 2 a.m., this is normal. This is okay. You're not broken. And on quiet nights, when the darkness feels heavy and sleep won't come, maybe you can remember them. Emma by her fire, Walter in his bakery, Agnes with her daughter, Richard walking his rounds, all of them awake together, all of them sharing the vigil, separated by centuries, connected by biology, united in that quiet hour when the whole world pauses and takes a breath before continuing on. First sleep, vigil, second sleep, dawn, the pattern, the rhythm, the gift we forgot we had. Unlike those medieval nights, you're warm right now, safe, comfortable in your bed with its soft mattress and clean sheets. No straw poking you, no fleas, no freezing darkness, no uncertainty about whether you'll wake up tomorrow. You have everything they didn't. Every comfort, every luxury, including the ability to sleep through the night if you choose to. No vigil required, no midnight waking, just rest, pure and simple. And maybe that's okay, maybe that's progress, maybe that's better. Or maybe, somewhere in your biology, your body remembers the old way, the ancient pattern, the 2 sleeps with their quiet hours.